This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show.
Is this the episode where we start tripping acid?
I don't know why we wouldn't. My psychology teacher in college said, I'm not telling you that you should try LSD, but I will say if you ever get the chance...
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, everybody needs to try this at least once.
So he was one of the hip, cool professors.
Man, I don't know about that, but he certainly had done his share of that shit in the past, I guess. But I loved him because he would come in and he would start a video and then he would leave the room, like... And essentially, tell us, like, hey, when this is over, class is over, or whatever. Like, that was his teaching. But we had an exit door out the back of the fucking thing with a staircase that went right to where we all parked our cars. And so I mean...
Class is over.
100%. Me and David Hilson-Tager would take off, and then next thing you know, we had a couple more people following us, and one of those guys is like a big time doctor now. So you can tell, he didn't, and he don't ask that guy about psychology because he wasn't in the class.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I didn't finish my college career. I went a couple of years. I don't know if you knew that I didn't quite finish, but I did do a couple of years.
You did.
You picked up on it.
I did a couple
of years.
Yeah.
I didn't have one single professor that like was notable. Like, I don't even remember. I remember one maybe, but it's not because he was notable. Like, I didn't have any like great, oh my God, this is a wonderful class. Now, maybe it's because like most of what I was doing was, basic courses, whatever. But I mean, it was real lame, boring ass shit. And no one was like just awe inspiring.
Damn. Because I had, both my Western Civ teachers were amazing. Hard as shit, man. I mean, those classes were fucking hard. But, like, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, their lectures were awesome. Because, like, and one's name was... oh, shit. I just lost it. Dr. King was one of them, and then the other one was... Anyway, it doesn't matter. But one used to swear and stuff, and like I just thought that was so cool because I'd never heard a teacher swear. And then I had two English professors that were cool, but yeah, a lot of unmemorable ones too. I mean, a lot of the ones like I couldn't even tell you like what my government teacher looked like, or any of that shit. But
I got nothing.
But I will say too is that I went for 4 years and I did. Like, if I liked a teacher, I would take their class again. I would try, like, these two teachers in particular, I would take their classes even if it was, like, if it wasn't, like, the normal history class or something that everybody else took. But I would take their class just because I found it interesting. I don't remember
that
one
makes
thing.
sense. I mean, that makes sense because there's people that are such great speakers, or I'm saying speakers because like I've done a lot of education stuff outside of college. But anyways, there's people that are great speakers or great presenters or great teachers that they can make a topic that you're not interested in really entertaining or really interesting. Yeah. So I get taking a class that you're like, I don't know about this class, but I really like this teacher. I get that.
Yeah. It's so funny too. Like how, like I had a business professor too. That, God, it was so hard, but he could keep everybody's attention, And so it was like, I mean, the tests were like fucking impossible, but that's where I got proper planning prevents pitiful performance, which I say constantly. And, I got it from that guy, and I at least, I use that shit all the time. But welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. Anywho, coming up later on the program, Craig Mabbitt from the band Escape the Fate. And I Before you even ask, actually, I shouldn't even tell them that I didn't ask about Ronnie Radke, right? Like, I mean, we don't want them to know. Oh, shit, I just did. I took the high road, I took
the rabbit's out of the bag.
I took the high road on this one. And, because I'm like, I'm sure he gets asked about that all the time, and it matters not. I mean, that band's been going without him for so long. You'd think that, anyway, I didn't ask him about that. But we talk about a lot of fun shit, man, and it's going to be great. You guys are going to really enjoy it. That's coming up later, right here on the Rockstar Dad Show. But until then, you are stuck with me and Gary. And
talking about my college failures.
College failures. I mean, man, I didn't really have a college life. You didn't either. I mean, well, you kind of did, right? I mean, you kind of like were going to college and partying and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in the dorms for the first year, and I got kicked out of the dorms at the end of the year. And I went to classes, and I made decent grades, and we had fun and partied. Like, I wasn't in a fraternity or anything like that, but we had fun. I was still in a band, so we were playing shows around the college and stuff.
Yeah, which was cool back then. I mean, there were so many places to play in Denton back then. I mean,
yeah, in Denton, there's tons of places. So yeah,
and you could, and people went. People just walked around and like just popped in and watched your band. That's a kind of that's one of the really sucky things about where especially live music is these days is people don't go for discovery anymore, right? So like. You don't just like, hey man, let's just go see who's playing at such and such,
Yeah, I mean, there's a really cool place in Denton back in the day. I don't think it's not still there. Gaddy's isn't still there, right? It's gone. But anyways, there's this really cool place. Yeah. Gaddy's on the square in Denton used to do shows in their basement, and it's one of the first shows that I remember ever playing where it was packed, but I didn't know anyone there. I knew like 4 people there.
Yeah,
and that's not a thing in Wichita Falls where we grew up. Like we played shows that were packed, but I knew everyone there.
Yeah. I mean, that Gaddy's in Denton became JJ's Pizza for a while, and it finally closed down a couple of years ago. And I know this because it was closing and my daughter took her senior pictures on the square. And so we have a picture of her in front of JJ's Pizza. We're Bowling for Soup's first ever Denton show. Which was, sorry, do you ever do that thing where like, it's kind of like a hiccup and a burp, but like then you don't have the hiccups.
Your mind just can't make up its mind. You're like, yeah, something's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. You're just going to sound weird for a minute. Something
just went down and I'm not sure what it was. I took my daughter to see a stadium country show. I took Emma and her boyfriend and my wife, and Everett was supposed to go, but he didn't want to go. And so Casey's friend Katie and her boyfriend.
Now, why didn't he want to go? Is it just not his? He's not into the artist, or he had other shit going on, or?
I think he's starting to figure out like what nights are like that, because the thing started at 5:45 and Luke Combs went on at 9. So, and you knew he was going to play 90 minutes. So I think he's like, man, that's a long time to stand up, and, but he really likes Luke Combs a lot. Like he knows all of his songs. And, so he was excited about it up until the point, but then I think it's just like, or you can stay with grandma, and be on your iPad and go outside and play with your friends. And, cause that's where his best friend lives, across the street from his grandma. So, I think he just sort of like, I think he's just getting privy to the fact that like, that's a long fucking night. It's a long drive there from where we live. You're there a long time and then it's a long time back. So he's probably just kind of picking and choosing, but I don't know. He said he didn't want to go. And, pretty much anybody you ask alive right now would want to go see Luke. I know you wouldn't want to go see Luke Combs, but,
I'm out. I would have been out. I would have been, going to grandma's with Everett.
Yeah. Yeah. He could have hung out with Dennis in the pub. It'd be fucking great.
I'd be much happier there.
Man, Gary. So I started thinking about something while I was there. And it was like, I'm looking around and it's a stadium full of people. I mean, I think the place holds 80,000 or something crazy like that. I don't know. I don't know what the number is, and I could have Googled it, but fuck it. Let's leave it to the imagination. But I'm looking at this stage, and there's, a little bit of places where people don't sit because it's behind the stage, but it's a fucking stadium full of people singing this guy's songs to him. And I just got to thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I've ever watched a band in a stadium before. Like, unless we were playing there. Like, we've played a lot of stadiums on festivals. So I've been, on the stage there, but I've never like gone to a concert at a stadium before. And it was like, I don't know, man. It's pretty jaw dropping to think about, like, this guy's going to go fucking do this in every city. Like, and Garth Brooks can come here and do this for 3 nights. And Taylor Swift is here in a couple of weeks and can do this for 3 nights. And you're just like, man, it's just the being in that business. And I don't want to make this about money, but I should at least mention the money. Like, I know what we do in merch if we sell out House of Blues, right?
Yeah.
This is a fucking stadium. There's merch booths everywhere, and the line goes the whole night. I mean,
it's like 15 House of Blues.
Yeah. I mean, more. It's unbelievable, and so I don't know, just the insanity of it. And I thought back to, somebody had shared this when he had his first hit, and this is special to me because Emma and I found Luke Combs kind of at the same time, and like through the pandemic, I didn't really get to see Emma and Jack much, if at all. But Luke Combs was doing shit like on the internet, and he would like post him doing this song or whatever. And I don't know if you know anything about him, but he doesn't look like a Nashville guy. He's a big dude. He's a ginger. He's got, he's just a redheaded. Just his beard is just. It's not even like a. And I mean, this is just all common knowledge. I'm not fucking with the guy for his looks. This is just, I'm just saying he's not a pretty Nashville man. He's not what normally comes out of there. He's not fucking, whoever, Tim McGraw, right? Who's just chiseled and awesome looking. And this dude is just like a big dude who can fucking sing. And so it's just this connection that me and Emma had, and she'd be like, look, Luke had this, and, and he got married and he has kids now and stuff. And so taking her to this show is a really big deal for me. Well, he came through a year and a half or so ago, and he was making up for I was supposed to take her to the show. It got canceled because of COVID. Then when the reschedule came around, I got COVID and didn't get to go. And so she and her mom went, which is fine. They took a little picture of me and held it up, and that means, at least I was sort of there. It was a good hair day in that photo too, so I felt pretty good about it. People asking like, we know who that guy is. Anyway, so I got to share this with Emma, and at the same time just be like, oh my God, like fucking music is so cool. Like there's however many thousands of people here with this common love for these songs. And here's this dude that in 2013 sent out a tweet that was just like, I'm just exhausted. Like, I don't know how much longer I can keep trying this. And just having doors slammed in his face, all over the, what do they call it? The Music Row or whatever, and playing bars and doing covers. And I'm sure it's like anything else when I walk in, whatever, and I hear a guy's voice, I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's so much more to it than that. It's the songs, and it's this and this and this, and that they're looking for the whole package there. They want them to look like, again, George Strait or whatever. So just a fucking magical night. But I just was so blown away by just how massive it was. Like, I've been to football games, obviously, and I've been to a lot of concerts in my life. But I mean, even Elton John was at the baseball stadium, and I've been to a lot of arena shows. But never, I realized that, through all of my musical adventures and us doing this for so very long, I had never seen a concert in a stadium before. And man, it was awesome. So and it was cool. It was cool to share that.
Did you enjoy like I get like that's just where the shows are, right?
Yeah.
That's where he's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
But from a fan standpoint,
yeah.
Did you enjoy seeing a show in that type place? I mean, to me, though, it never sounds amazing. You're far away, like, but that's where you're going to go see it.
It sounded great. I was actually really surprised. So there were 4 bands before him. The first band played to like nobody. And in fact, it was funny because I said to Casey, I go, even if I got offered this, I don't think I would take that first slot. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, the catering's probably pretty good, you know, and you get to say you were on that tour. But still, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I at my age and where I'm at, I don't know that I want that first slot. And then the second guy played, and I'm just like, yeah, I still don't know. Third person played was Lainey Wilson, who is on Yellowstone, which we've talked about on this show. And it was already pretty packed. And I was like, now I'd take this slot.
I think people listening to, of course you would. People listening to the show might not know why you wouldn't want to take the first slot on that tour. And it's because first slot on that tour starts playing the second doors open, right?
That's right. So yeah, literally like as we were walking in, doors opened at 5. Let's see. They actually, to be fair, they opened doors at 5, but there was fucking nobody there. Like our car, we took our car because we knew we were going to drink. There was no traffic. We drove right up to the place and walked in. There was no line to get in. Like there was nobody there. And so when they finally started playing, I mean, there was no lines at the bars. There was nobody in their seats. Like they were playing to an empty stadium, you know? And I just was like, I don't know. Like, first of all, I just don't know how much good that does. You know, I think it does them some good if they've already got some shit going on and they're like, we were on the Luke Combs tour, but I don't really know that anybody went there and saw that band and was like, fuck, this is my new favorite band. You know, I'm going to do a Pandora channel. Let's go. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, man, that's got to be so hard, like for the musicians, for the performers to sit there and go, I'm playing this enormous place, right, and like there's 8 people in here. You know, it seems like there's probably 3,000 people in there, but
that's
looks
what
empty,
I said too,
right?
Yeah.
But you know, I think strategically, yes, you do that. But I mean, different people in different positions, right? I'm not saying anyone does. It has to make sense. But the reason they do it is exactly what you said. You're gonna have publicity on that. You're gonna have people asking you questions about that. You're gonna have that forever, and then you got to think like searchability, Googling, like you're going to be tagged to Luke Combs. You know, you can turn it into something on the long tail, on the long run.
Yeah. And you're right. And you get the networking experience of it too. And I mean, like his main support, I can't think of his name right now, but he has a couple of hits and everybody was in there for him. And, you know, it started, but it was like anything else. Like the PA was pretty muddy, but they still gave, you know, that first band was set up in front of everybody. And they, you know, like they still had all the big screens on and all that shit. But then, you know, I think stuff kind of starts to get louder and it starts to sound better. I mean, but by the time he played, I mean, it was, you know, there's so many people in there. It soaks up all that bounce and it was crystal clear. I was actually really surprised at how fucking good it sounded. Because the last 2 big shows I've been to were that and then Elton John, which was in the ballpark, which I honestly was like, how are they going to make it sound good in here? There's just so much air, you know, it's a dome, so to speak, you know, it's like, but for
you're saying for Elton John at the ballpark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And but it sounded great. And, as a fan, you know, he's not like, I love his songs and I love him. But, you know, that's not what I listen to. I listen to Texas country or punk rock. But it was being able to share that with Emma and, you know, and just, you know, I don't know, like the song, you know what I'm talking about? Like the song would come on and like we would point at each other when our favorite part would be on and shit, you know, and her boyfriend was trying to Keep Up With Me, Beer for Beer, and that was hilarious. And it was
that's
just
a bat. So what kind of shape was he in at the end of the night?
He did pretty good, but he did fall asleep in the car ride home. But he did good, man. I was very proud of him because he usually drinks bourbon and whiskey, which I know is your shit. But he decided that night, and he doesn't drink Miller Lite even when he drinks beer. But he's with the old man, and they've been together for a while, and I really, really like him a lot. And so he was just like, nope, I'm going to drink Miller Lights with you. And sure enough, man, pretty much every time I went and got one, he got one. I will say that a couple of times where he had like gone off to talk to a friend, I'd grab two and I'd just drink them both, but I mean,
that's having mercy on him, because most people that have tried to go beer for beer with us on tour or whatever, they end up having a story to tell. But they may not remember it all, and it's not a great story for them.
It's usually a little sketchy, and the next day is a lot of other bands' crew members hating the next day. Load in, that happens a lot. All right, we got to take a break. You're listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. We'll be right back with a little bit more of the program, but coming up later, Craig Mabbitt from Escape the Fate is going to be here to talk about the band and talk about being a dad and other stuff. So y'all hang out and listen to this. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Man, we got to get to this interview actually, but I hate to let go commercials. I feel like we got to give them something in here. This is like the really good intro bit to the interview sandwich right now. We're the innards.
Yeah. Going commercial to commercial, somebody's got to pay the bills around here, man.
That's true, man. That is true. And here's the thing. It's not us. I mean, we don't have to do that. That's not up to us at all. There is some good, Adobe Radio has been working hard. Lots of good changes going on there, and lots of fun shows and stuff happening. I mean, we take pride in being, of course, the best show they've ever had, and continuing to set the bar on pretty much every aspect of having a show in general. And but that feels good. I mean, that's what we do in general anyway.
Pretty much,
That's our thing. That's what our band does.
We're bar setters.
Man, it's going to be interesting.
We sit at the bar.
It's going to be interesting not being gone this summer. I feel like we have just kind of toured in the summer. That's just what we've done. And this year, we're not. I mean, in fact, we're turning stuff down because we're doing some stuff in the fall and preparing for next year, which is 30 years of the band and 20 years of Hangover You Don't Deserve. So obviously there's a build up to that, but it's going to be very interesting just being home.
I find myself trying to figure out what all I'm going to do. It's kind of like the scene from, is it Old School? And he's like, and we're going to go to Applebee's and we're going to do this home team. I don't know if we're going to have time. I don't know. I kind of overwhelmed with the idea of being home most of the summer.
Right. And, we keep Everett pretty busy because I think idle time. If we just let him sit here, he will fucking sit here. And so we do camps, and he'll do a week of golf, which is 3.5 hours a day. And, that's in the sun. And then, hopefully we get him to do they have this thing up at this sports complex near us where it's the sports camp, but it's a la carte. So you just buy however many days you want for the summer, and you just drop them off whenever. So you can buy 10 or 20 at the beginning of the summer, and then let's say it's been raining all week. You can go, hey man, you want to go to sports camp tomorrow? And they just goes to sports camp, and they stay all day. It's kind of like a YMCA kind of thing. So I think it'd be good. I don't know. Maybe we should make some plans. Maybe we should do some fun shit that adult men do that we don't ordinarily get a chance to do, like a project or something, or, I don't know. I mean, seriously, just let's think of something that we could do that we, work on from here and there, and, or do something. I don't want to rebuild an engine, cause I don't know how to do any of that shit.
No, and it'll mess up your manicure probably.
Probably, yeah. Oh man, my fingernails grew out and I just bit them all right back off.
So Tyler, the baseball program at our high school is really cool. It's a great program, and they start bringing the kids into the program going into 6th grade. Okay. So Tyler did it last year. Going into 6th grade, they start working on this baseball program in the summer. Now, going into 7th grade, so what Tyler is now, they start working out with the junior high and the high schools during the summer program.
Okay.
And it's like a 6-week program in the summer, and it's like 8 a.m. to noon or something, right? Yep. And it's kind of a cool deal. The younger kids get to see the high school kids and, you know, have some role models, and the high school kids get to learn some leadership and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as with everything that is in our school district, the communication about it is horrible. Okay. So I've been waiting for this thing to be announced, right? And I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's reaching out saying, hey, are y'all going to do that this year? But I'm just waiting for them to announce it, right? And they finally, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, announced it. Mm-hmm. But they linked it to a thing that has all the other camps through the school, and that camp's not on there. And I'm like, come on. Like, so is it open or is it not open? And I still don't want to be the guy going, hey, this link's not quite working. But it was driving me nuts that I can't sign up for this thing yet.
Man, it's so frustrating. You know, communication is just it's so weird, you know, especially in this day and age of communication where you just think it'd be just so easy. But it's not.
It is easy. It's just maybe it's not common sense. I don't know. It's pretty easy, but yeah. I get it that everyone's busy and there's a lot on their plate. So taking the step to do it and then to do it properly, like that doesn't always end up right.
You know who's gotten really good at scheduling? The Rockstar Dad Show. And we have our new system is working great. And we've gotten awesome guests. And that who is one of them is coming up next. Craig Mabbitt from Escape the Fate is coming up next. Man, what a great dude. I cannot wait to hang with this guy. We have some festivals coming up here in just a couple of months. So I'm glad that we got to meet, and you guys are really going to enjoy this interview. He's a great dude. That's coming up next. But first, y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. As I was telling you earlier, Gary, I'm excited about this guy.
Hey, thanks, Jaret.
Oh, man. Craig Mabbitt is here with us. How's it going, man?
It's going good. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Man, a little bit. I'm a little bit tired. We did like this virtual trivia thing during the whole COVID thing. And then we stopped doing it for like a year, and he brought it back last night, and I was up a little bit late, you know.
Did you have a big night? Big trivia night?
Big trivia night last night. But it's not about me. This is about you, Craig.
Did you win?
We did not win, actually. You know what? We always win. And we did not win.
I'll have Mia make you a trophy.
Man, that's yeah. Beautiful story.
You're a winner in my book, Jaret.
Jaret and I just did a golf tournament a couple of weeks ago, and we were out of town, and I called my wife afterwards, and like we didn't win anything in the raffle. I didn't win anything, and I told her, I was like, this is the first time I think I've ever not won anything in the raffle. And so she told my 5-year-old daughter that, and whenever I got home, she had made me a trophy.
Oh my God.
Man, isn't that? And you're a dad, right? You have two kids.
Yeah.
What are their ages and names?
Well, my daughter, her name is Rory. Mm-hmm. She's my oldest. Yeah. So she's 16.
Okay.
Going on 17 very soon.
Yeah.
And my son is Cage, and he is currently 9.
All right, man. Yes, that's a good spread there. Was she like super helpful with him when he was a baby and stuff?
Oh yeah, and still extremely helpful. I mean, she's at the age now. She's a teenager, has a boyfriend, just got her license. Mm-hmm. So trying to figure out how to get her a car and things of that nature. So, and he's getting a little older, so he wants to hang out a lot. Yeah. So there's just that sort of gap. Hey, stop bothering me.
Right.
But it's not too bad. He's really into video games and coding, actually.
Oh, wow.
Like I went on Fiverr and found him some coding coaches for Minecraft, and he got in there and was coding different things and levels, and he gets all excited. Dad, let me show you. I can create an ender storm. You just go in here and you code this, and it blows my mind.
Do you have any like coding ability? Are you into that at all?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
That's got to be something like I don't know. How do you even communicate about that with a 9-year-old?
I don't know. I mean, I'm super impressed because when I was growing up, I remember my dad coming to me and asking for help on video games.
Yeah.
So
Or how to set the
video game
VCR clock,
controller.
like that. Like our dads couldn't do anything. I mean, they could. My parents couldn't set the clock in their car. Like it was just like my grandmother would wait after daylight savings time till I came to visit, sometimes for months, to set her clock in her car. Like, and now these kids are coding this. Listen, it's not even just the coding. Let's be honest. I tried to play Minecraft with my son a couple of times, and because he would just kill me and steal all my stuff. And I would just like, I'm not going to.
My son does the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, he's like, hey, you want to play Minecraft? No, I don't. If you want to play like NBA Jam, I'm your guy. We have a Galaga in here. Let's play that. I will school your ass.
I still love the classics.
Of course, man. Yeah. I mean, and so, obviously Escape the Fate, still going strong, actually. Is the new record coming out? Or is it new record?
The new record.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
The time frame we're planning on is around the fall.
Yeah.
So we're working on some tour things and just getting final mixes. But the plan right now is to just continue to drop singles.
Yeah.
Every other month leading up to that time frame. So
it's the new model, right?
The next single comes out tomorrow.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's the new.
It's called Low. It drops tomorrow. Very excited.
So it's it's the new model, right? It's super weird. Like that we do things the way we do now, right?
It is. Like we're still planning on dropping the whole record. We have about 14, 15 tracks. So we're in the stages of getting the final mixes and just arguing as a group about what songs we think should make the record or not.
Right. Yeah.
But that is the new model. A lot of artists are just dropping a single, and it almost feels like that one single they drop has a whole campaign behind it.
Yeah.
As an album would, except just based around one single, and it works. So it's a little weird, but it's a little exciting to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, we can do a whole campaign just based around one song and not an album.
Yeah.
People get so much these days that I feel like once you drop an entire record, it's old within 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny. You if you don't do the single route, you drop a whole record and then you link, one of the songs from the album in 6 months, and you're like, hey, and people are like, oh my God, new stuff, and you're like, because you're right. It's like people, it's you almost have to sort of hand feed it these days. Otherwise,
yeah. You could do an album's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you slowly dropped, everything, hey, new song this month, get everybody excited about that track that month, and then new song coming, and it's just a constant, post about this and get people excited about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is tough for me to get involved with because I'm not that old, or at least that's what I like to tell myself.
But that's kind of the name of the game right now, is keeping everyone's attention, because everyone's
it
attention
is the name of the
so
game.
fast.
I just suck at social media. I'm not that good, and I start to feel like I'm selling myself, or I'm posting too much. Hey, in case you missed it, here's another post about that song. I just miss being able to drop the album and that was that. And you go out there and you tour, and but there's a lot of pros and, in my opinion, just a little bit of cons, but that's the name of the game. Times are changing,
It is true. I mean, the winner is the fan, I mean, there's the constant content that from the fans' perspective, is awesome. But you're so right. I mean, there's pros and cons to all of it. But yeah, it's funny because my manager will stay on me about things like, you need to post about the new single like 3 times a day because only 3% of your people will see it. And I'm just like, but then you got the one guy in the UK, and he's probably listened to this and he knows who he is, by the way. That's just like, my God, do I need to turn my settings off so that you stop blowing up my phone or whatever? And you're just like, I'm just trying to hit everybody. Not everybody has the
That's
settings.
exactly how I feel. I'm like, why do I need to go post this again?
Yeah.
And then I miss the physical copy aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to get, my favorite albums and sitting down and looking through the artwork and just hitting play and reading the lyrics and following along with the entire record as a whole. And that's just not much of a thing anymore.
No, but I mean, I guess with the return of vinyl, it's I think that's part of the whole, that's part of the lure of that, is that people like to get it and hold it and put it on the turntable and see it spinning. And, now people are doing the big fold out jackets and stuff. Cause I mean, man, I remember being a kid and I could buy an Ozzy or a Kiss record and just sit there and stare at that cover for hours and hours each day,
Oh yeah. That's how I got into rock and things of that nature. Cause my dad had a huge vinyl collection.
Jaret,
I remember going through it.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's just like a trend right now, though? I mean, is that the bell bottoms that just come back every, 10 years? Like,
I've always thought about that. I'm like, is this just a nostalgic trend right now?
Yeah.
And if so, in the next 10 years, is it going to change into Walkmans and
I mean, cassettes are
CD players again? Like, oh, I got a CD, and look, this is a CD player that comes with it. And you can put on these little headphones, and it's so cool.
But cassettes are back, years ago. Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of years ago, there were the 16-year-old kids trying to be quirky, running around with Walkmans.
Yeah, no, it's
yeah, that's true.
People do cassette. I mean, that band Waterparks just did it. Like, it's just like 500 limited cassettes, and that's it. And they sell out right away. I mean, I think that, to me, that's like the generation below this one. So
you mean younger?
I'm saying yes. Okay, so the younger generation going.
It makes you feel younger if you just word it as the generation below.
Okay, right, yeah, but still, they're going like, oh, you want to talk nostalgia? We're going to this thing that's really just a total piece of shit, and like they shouldn't have been popular in the first place. But I don't know. I mean, you're probably, because I do think that the people that are buying the vinyl are older. And there's a nostalgic feel to it, and so it probably is a fad. But I don't see how. I think 10 years is probably a pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's really into the vinyl thing.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like going and shopping for vinyl and like looking through the stores.
Last Christmas, hey, I would love if you could find a Deftones record, I want to get a Deftones vinyl.
Wow. See, okay. And that's good to hear. That's why we do this show called the Rockstar Dad Show, to keep us in tune with the younger.
Oh yeah, I always ask her opinion on things.
Yeah, Craig Mabbitt from Escape the Fate is here, and man, we're first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Very nice to meet you guys virtually.
Longtime fan, and
thank you.
You guys have obviously done a lot, been through a lot as a band, and but still kicking. I had there's a band opening up for us down in New Braunfels here in a few weeks, and they posted on their thing, hey, we're opening up for Bowling for Soup, and some guy commented, that's still a band, and so I responded with, we put that on a drumhead 5 years ago, and I put a picture of the drumhead that said, Bowling for Soup is still a band. I'm like, not only are we still a band, we went through the whole they're still a band thing, and we're on the other side of that, So, it's...
It'll always happen. It happens to me sometimes. I was in I can't remember what store it was, but I was trying on a pair of pants, and it was like right when, COVID was settling down and artists were starting to get back on the road again, and I was wearing my own beanie, like an ETF beanie from the tour.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, oh man, I remember that band. Yeah. I wish they were still around. And I'm like, yeah, no, I think they are, just playing it off.
Yeah. People will quote our own song at me, be like, come back to Texas. It's just not the like if I post date somewhere else, and I'm like, we literally just played in Texas 5 shows last month, and you're just like,
that happens all the time.
But that's the whole thing with this whole social media thing too, is like, what else could we do to get to people? It's super frustrating, right? I mean, you just wish that there was some sort of a deal that they could click and go, I want to know everything this band does.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because I've struggled with that as well, being on the road. And I'm like, I know social media is obviously a huge, huge thing right now on how to promote yourself. But at the same time, I don't think you also should not do all the other things. So sometimes we'll show up to a headline show, or maybe we're on a tour and we're doing like an off day headline show. I'll go to the venue. I'm like, where are the flyers?
Right.
Why is the show not posted up on the venue website?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Which I think you still should do.
You should. Yeah. It's go ahead, Gary.
I think what we were talking about earlier, it's like there's a snowball effect though, because we have to be everywhere, right? So you got to go to Instagram, you got to go to Facebook, you got to do stories, you got to do, you're posting everything to 19 different places, but each time you post, like Jaret said, you're hitting 3% of your audience. So you have to post 6 times a day. Well, every other band is doing that too. And so it just creates all this noise that people are getting.
Yeah.
But you have to do it.
Yeah.
You do.
You really do. I mean, it's, look, I think it's such a weird thing. We talk about this so much on this show, and we have so, different artists from different generations. And it's so funny because I think you're right. I think, Craig, it's a mixture of all of it that really what we all need to be doing, because it's like, young bands, all they want to do is tour. They want to get in the van like we did and just get out there and just road dog it, right? But it makes no sense to do that anymore. And we are like, shit, TikTok videos are hard to make, and they're like making these things where it looks like freaking, epic James Cameron pictures and shit, and it's like,
oh yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. And you're like, well, how the hell do you do that? And I'll even ask them. And like, there's a couple of TikTokers that like are fans or whatever that I've followed and we've messaged back and forth. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, really? I don't do anything. I just turn the camera on or whatever. And it's just like, you son of a bitch, and that's what I think. I think it's this thing where, we're still all trying to figure out what the balance is, but it's so ever changing, like
it really is. And I think, at least for me personally, I'm very self-aware, and I know maybe there's just a little bit of just missing the way things used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I accept change and like change, it's just difficult because, like you were saying, I don't know how to do a TikTok.
Right.
I don't know how to make it look good.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and it's like the band's already been touring for a while, but it makes me think of the times when I was just a kid, and instead of TikTok, it was, going to the promoter and getting tickets to your show and going to the mall and actually talking to people face to face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, we got a show coming up. Do you want to buy a ticket from me? Like I was trying to sell, cookies or something.
Yeah. Man, I'm so glad. I'm so glad
we get the newest little speaker for my room.
I'm so glad we missed that. We didn't have to do that. We of course had to flyer, but we never had to. We never had to sell tickets to our shows. And I am.
Oh yeah, flyering and then the tickets to shows. Because if you were a local band getting on the show and you didn't sell those 100 or 150 tickets,
wow,
you had to end up buying those tickets.
Yeah, I know that was the thing, right? If you wanted, that was just basically, look, here's the money you're guaranteed. Here's those tickets, and you pay for those. It's just crazy. It's, that's the, that existed like in LA when we were kids, like LA bands had to pay to play and all of that. But, but it's funny after we, a few years ago, I was managing this young band, and they were a band of girls and they were 12 years old, and this promoter was like, yeah, y'all can come pick up your tickets to sell or whatever. And I go, who the fuck are they going to sell tickets to? They're 12 years old, just give them $100, and he was actually really cool about it. But I was like, what in the hell, but you're right. It's like, that there's just, each generation has their own way of just getting out there and working it. And that, but like I said, you'll go to some band that, there's like, we go to a House of Blues and sell that House of Blues out, right? But there's a TikToker that's got 4 million followers on TikTok, and they play a little bitty club and there's 12 people there, it's so weird how
or vice versa sometimes.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
But I just bring that up because that's what I miss. I mean, if we were playing with like a national touring act and we were still a local band and we were we had to sell X amount of tickets.
Yeah.
That gave us an opportunity to very organically build it up and meet people face to face. And you'd run into people that were fans of that band. Oh, they're coming to town.
Yeah.
Then they met you, you're playing the show. They see you at the show. Then they become a fan of your band. And it was like almost immediate gratification for doing the work and getting out there and building a fan base, because you're out there doing it. And, you know, today it's just, all right, let's post and hope it does well. And if the post doesn't do well, we'll post it 3 more times, because maybe, you know, the timing is off and it's not going to work for the algorithm or whatever. And I don't know. Whatever. I'm just grateful to still be doing it after all this time,
No
especially
kidding.
after the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I was going to get into that, but we do need to talk about being a dad, you know, because that's what this show is all about. And I think, you know, especially when, you know, bands like yours that have, you know, a younger fan base than ours, you know, for the most part. I say that, but God, it's just so weird. Like our fans are young and we're just old, but you know, you'd think our fans would be old, but they're not. And it just, anyway, so back to this.
I mean, I was meeting people on the last tour. Oh my God, it's so nice to finally meet you. I've been listening to you since I was 13.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, how old are you now? 29.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my
right.
God.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean,
and meeting fans that were there with their kids
Yeah.
who were around 15, 16. And they're like, the first time I saw you, I was 15, 16. So it's turning into this.
It's generational. Yeah, it's this multi-generational thing.
Yeah,
Same with us. Yeah, so that's the thing. So it's like we were a bar band of the 90s. You know, you got to think like, shit. That was, you know, we've been together 30 years. So somebody that was coming to see us 30 years ago now has grandkids that are coming to see us, you know. It's
well, and we'll have the people coming to see us now with their teenager, and they're bringing us the photos of whenever they brought that kid to come see us when that kid was 8, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Well, dude,
because we're approaching around 20 years.
Yeah, you guys have been at it long enough to where you were deep into it when you became a dad. And one of my favorite questions to ask is, you know, just how touring and just, you know, all of that changed when your daughter was born, you know, or if it was really you were just out there busting your ass to try and survive and make.
So I was in the studio working on my first album with my first band, Bless the Fall. When I found out I was going to be a dad, so there was a big decision there to be made. You know, where I went through the thought process of, can I even attempt to do this anymore? You know, because I had some goals and I wanted to hit the road and really go out there and try it. But learning I was going to be a dad, I'm like, do I just get a job? I mean, I dropped out of school to tour. So that was a tough decision. And I ultimately made the decision to just, no, I'm going to go for it. If it doesn't work out, you know, in the first 2 to 3 years, then I really need to take a step back and think about it, because, you know, I want to be a good dad and be able to provide in that way. And luckily it ended up working out, even though it was a huge roller coaster, because obviously I ended up joining a different band and all this stuff. But it ended up working out. But man, it is tough. Yeah. It is tough to tour when you're a dad and you have kids.
It really is.
And I went through a lot of rough times, you know.
I mean, you know, it's probably been way easier with your son because of technology, right? I mean, being able to FaceTime all the time, and you didn't have that.
Hey, let's FaceTime, or you jump on, you know, we both play video games together and jump on Discord, and it's a lot easier. Back when I had my daughter, it was, you know, my first tour overseas. Yeah. It was trying to find a calling card to go and call home and just hoping they were available.
Just the worst. You know? Yeah. And then so many things over there, right? You could get you could get the top up phones. Remember that shit? You know, you get the phone, you top up, and you'd give, you know, like 20 pounds would get you like 2 minutes to call home and stuff. I like
something
that.
Ridiculous like that.
I like that flex, by the way. Like, you know what Discord is? I can't figure it out. I have no idea. No. Oh my God. It's like that game. What's that game where they the kids play and there's like a murderer in there and they go
Among Us.
Among Us. Yeah. I have no idea what the hell is happening on that thing. Like I have tried. But and you know, I'm a computer savvy guy. But man, is that confusing. Anyway, you got the Discord thing?
That game's pretty fun.
Do you game on Twitch and stuff?
I do, yeah. So I started going on Twitch over COVID.
Yeah. Does
We
it?
just couldn't tour.
Do you make a little bit of money doing it? Like, I mean, do because it's like, you know.
Oh yeah, it was a lot better over the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think everybody was stuck at home and there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like Roger,
but it's still good.
Roger from Less Than Jake treats that like it's a job, but he's having fun. But like,
Yeah.
you go in the dressing room at 11 o'clock in the morning, like we're just waking up, and he's set up in there in front of the TV, and he's yelling at the TV and shit. He's just, you know, he's going for it, and he's jumping up and screaming and stuff, and you know, you can hear him talking to people or whatever. And he just, I mean, he is.
Yeah, I treat it the same way. I mean, I came up with my own schedule. I'm like, okay, I'll go live at 9 a.m. to this time, and then I'll go live in the evening.
Yeah.
And it was a huge help because I got sober at the start of COVID.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You
And
needed
so now
something,
having something to do in this community that I connect with, it's been a huge help, especially getting back on the road afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, I just bring out my laptop, and instead of waking up early and seeing what time the venue's open and going to hang out at the bar, now I can just go live and do something I've done since I was a kid, which was my original escape, just play some video games.
Going sober at the beginning of COVID had to be crazy difficult. I mean, that's like one of those most stressful times ever. And then,
oh yeah, it was quite a struggle for a long time, and I would always go through spurts. You know, like, oh, I didn't drink for a month. I guess it's time to go out and celebrate.
Yeah.
Like an idiot.
Right.
But I just never had an allotted amount of time to
Mhm.
really get it under control, because it was always like, okay, I'm home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for a month, and I would be good and then get back out on the road, and it just took real quick. Hey, can I get you a shot at the bar? And then I
Yeah.
was right back into it. So COVID really, I know it was horrible and a tough time for a lot of people, but from my chair, it was a great opportunity for me to finally catch my breath and get some things under control that I struggled with for a very long time. Because then I didn't have to feel guilty about not going out on the tour either, because nobody was.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because
So for me, I'm like, this is great.
that fucking shot thing, you know, seriously. And we're not sober, but still, I don't like to do shots. It's not my thing. Like I like to
Yeah.
drink some beers, make it last the night, you know, and do my thing. But people bring you the shot, and then their feelings. I mean, they're pissed if you don't take it.
They get hurt.
Yeah,
They
like-
get upset if you don't take the shot.
Yeah, and it's like, first of all, why didn't you ask me first? You know, because you know, you're just bringing.
They just hand it to you,
They just hand it to you. Yeah,
which
so,
is pretty dangerous too.
It
It's like,
is,
what
for sure.
What is this actually?
But when you're sober though, I mean, at least you can go, oh man, sorry, dude, I'm sober. You know, and
people have been pretty cool about it, because I was nervous to get back out on the road, because that's just how I've always operated. I'm always at the bar. I'm always mingling.
Yeah.
I'm always hanging out and talking to people, and I was nervous to get back out on the road, but after the first week, I'm like, all right, this is okay.
Yeah.
Because now when I tell people, oh, no, thanks,
Right.
you know, I say, oh, no, I'm retired.
Yeah,
You know,
I love it.
I got sober.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, man, cool. Thank you. So sorry.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you. I'm like, no, nothing to apologize about. I appreciate the offer,
Yeah.
you know, but thank you very much. So
How's the rest of the band in that regard? Do you still have some partiers in the band and crew and stuff?
yeah, we still have some people that party a bit, and still some crew members that are the same crew members that still like to drink. But I quickly realized that I was the one that got everybody else that did drink to drink a lot more than they usually would.
Interesting. Yeah.
So even though I know there was still some of the guys on the crew or in the band that drink, it is not anywhere close to what it used to be.
Sure.
Because I realized I was the guy that pushed people to the limits.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, and
You know,
also,
I was the guy that was making sure, where's our bottle on the rider? And all right, here, let me make you a drink. And I would make it just as strong as mine. And, you know, when you're an alcoholic, you don't want to be an alcoholic alone.
sure. Yeah. That's sort of the when the darkness comes in, is when probably, you know, when you are sitting there by yourself and you're just getting drunk by yourself
Yep.
and watching the TV and all of that. Well, good for you, man. I mean, I know that's
Thank you.
very, very, very difficult. And I see what you're saying, man. You know, having something to throw yourself into, and then also not being out there. Because look, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, I've talked about this a lot in therapy and just in relationships and my friends outside of this insane world that we live in. But, you know, even we're given, you know, a free pass to excess in this business. I mean, before we're even really successful at it, you know, like, and what I mean by that is like when we were talking to labels, and even once we signed to a label and we still hadn't sold any records and we didn't have any money and we were still like, couldn't get gas in the tank, they'd still take us to strip clubs and spend $3,000. We just couldn't have the money. We had to put it in girls' pants, you know? And so that's just one example, but you always got a guy that is, you know, if you want to get high, there's a guy over there. If you want to get drunk, that dude over there will, as I said, will just buy you shots right now just because you play the guitar, you know? You know, and then you get into the girls and the things like that. So it probably was a blessing for you, you know, if you were in a dark spot, you know, to just to be home and go, okay.
I just didn't have an off switch, man. I was a trash can.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, you learn, like you said, therapy. That's a sign that we're getting older, right? Because I started going to therapy.
Well, yeah, you know,
seeing a psychiatrist, a psychologist, all that stuff.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
COVID. But you quickly learn that, you know, drinking wasn't the problem. You were just covering up the problem. And you know, I started when I was just so young. And my first tour overseas, I remember somebody coming up, "Can I get you a beer?" "Oh, I'm not old enough." "You are here."
Yeah.
"Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I am?"
Yeah. Gary knows that game.
And then it was just a slippery slope from there, man. You know, I wanted to numb myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it still gets weird these days now that I'm sober, because I still get nervous before a show. Like, I know I shouldn't be nervous.
Right.
I've been doing this for long enough, but it's still, you know, just those same feelings from when I was younger that just come up to the surface because I'm not covering it up anymore, you know?
When you don't have that. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I worry, you know, it's like even when we have shows where like it's early in the day or it's this or for whatever reason, I can't have a couple of beers before the show. I'm like, man, am I going to be funny? You know, and I literally worry about it. Like I'm literally standing there. And
that liquid confidence, man.
100%. And you know, that's so much of our show is ad lib, and it's like the banter is partially the reason people come see our band. And it's like, man, I can't just stand up there and play songs. We don't know enough songs. We don't plan that way, you know, like I just, you know, I commend you. I know how hard that can be.
Oh, thanks, man.
Gary, you can.
I had weird nerves, and it's not a not drinking alcohol thing, but like the very first show we came back and did after COVID. I mean, we hadn't done shows for 2 years, and like it was a biological thing. My head wasn't nervous. I'm like, we're about to go on stage, and I know exactly what we're about to go do. But like, I had the butterflies in my stomach, and it was weird. And I hadn't had that since like being a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yeah, so
It definitely felt to me like I was starting all over again too.
I think that was like
when
that
I first
for
got
a lot.
Back out on the road.
I think that was like that for a lot of musicians. I mean, to me, the stage is comforting. Like I never really get nervous, because I love being in front of people. It's just, you know, I want to give forth the best product, and I'm nervous about that. You know that.
I never do either. It was like that. You know, 3 minutes before we went on stage the first time in 2 years, and I'm like, that's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
I haven't had that for a long time.
My thing after the pandemic, or, you know, I guess, I don't know if we can say that. My thing during the quarantine aspect of things, and then coming back, you know, was just the being around so many people. Like I walked into a crowd and I was like, whoa, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here. You know, like I like to go out and mingle and like make an appearance at the bar and go buy the merch and stuff like that when I can. And I you know, I was like, I'm not having that, you know, and even like our meet and greets and stuff like that, it felt very, very strange to have people like around you, you know, and close and holding you and, you know, and wanting to shake hands. And you're like, I don't know if I do that anymore, you know? It
was very weird.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. So what else is going on with you? So Escape the Fate is the album that's coming out later in the fall. Is it all recorded and you guys are just leaking out the singles? And
it's all recorded, just going over final mixes right now.
You guys,
I have a buddy going in next week to do some guest vocals on a track, which I'm excited about.
Nice. Okay, a little teaser there for the Escape the Fate fans.
Just going like what's the artwork going to be like? What do we want the album name to be? So right now in like the band group chat, there's a list of titles that we're going over, and
it's
just a lot of cooks in the kitchen trying to make the decision.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and hopefully, wait, hold on, Sean, edit that out. I was about to say something else. Hey, actually leave it in. Fuck it. So Craig Mabbitt, Escape the Fate. And then, so you guys do like the whole thing where you make a video for the song and do all of that for the songs that are coming out every 2 months?
Yeah. So we the first single that came from the record that's yet to be named was Hate Myself, and the video dropped for that, and now the next single, Low, comes out tomorrow, and we're going to be having a video come out for that. So yeah, it's right now it's single video, and then album to follow.
It's like an express thing with the ingredients, and you gotta but then the final product comes out later on. And you guys touring this summer? Are you touring in the fall? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so we leave in, what day is it today? The 30th? In about 2 weeks, we go to Australia.
Okay. All right. I like what you've done.
Then we'll come back. We'll have about 2.5 weeks off before we go over to the UK and Europe. Mm-hmm. The only UK dates are Slam Dunk, North and South.
Hey, we're there too.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, we should hang. I will not offer you a shot.
Yes, we should definitely hang.
I will not offer you a shot, but I will hug you. I'm a hugger. So
let's do it. I'm a hugger too.
Yeah, man. I would, dude, we should hang for sure. That's going to be a great, that's going to be a great time. Are y'all doing Slam Dunk Italy too?
I don't think so. I think our Italy dates are headline dates.
Cool. That's probably way better because you actually get to see shit, and that's the thing too, right? Like, I wonder now that you're sober, I wonder if you'll go out and like do shit, because we don't, we're kind of the same way, you kind of get through the hangover and then you crack your first beer at VIP and then it's
just green room to green room, venue to venue.
Exactly. But a lot of my friends that, that don't drink, are like, Tom Thacker drinks, but we had Tom from Sum 41 on, and he's just like, yeah, I got into bird watching. So I just go to a local park and I see how many birds I can identify in each city or whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, that's like the coolest, nerdiest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I'm sort of jealous, because I'm like, well, I want to do that too,
Because he has something.
Yeah, because he's got something.
Has something to do.
Yeah.
Having something is great because, I mean, being on tour is so it can be boring during the day at times. But like a lot of our friends have something where it's like they're going to go surfing or they're going to go play golf or they're going to man, to line all that up and to get there and to have time to get
the thing.
But like he just goes to the park. That's easy. You can go to the park anywhere.
And I get too stressed. I mean, even when I have to travel from home on the day.
Yeah.
And my wife is always so annoyed by how stressed I get. I'm like, we have to leave. We got to be at the airport an hour before departure time because I have to check in a suitcase. Let's go. It's like, oh, you're going to be fine. You're not going to miss your flight. So same thing on tour. If sound checks at a certain time or if doors open at this time or we're on stage at this time and I'm looking at how long is it going to take to get to this place that I want to check out.
Yeah.
And then how long is it going to take to get back? I'm just like, I'm not going to risk it.
We're the same way. And I think that comes from our bands being together so long and you being out there so long. I think it comes to that thing of like, and especially, if you're not like Blink 182 level, where you just would have a car to take you wherever you want to go and you're not even in there in the, so, I think
ordering the Uber and then waiting for the Uber.
Exactly. All that stuff. And I'm the same way. I like to get acclimated too. Like I like to be where I'm at. So that I just sort of like, there's no newness to it whenever that, and maybe that's part of my.
Yeah, I get comfortable in the everydayness of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to leave the area or leave the bus then I look forward to days off because then I can go out and do something.
There's less social anxiety of like being in the room as the crowd, like, being in the green room as your friends are showing up and as other people's friends are showing up, then like if you're out doing something and you show up to a crowded room, it's more anxious, right?
Yeah, there is like an anxiety. You're right, Gary. I never thought about that, but like walking into your own dressing room and it's like full, you know, and there's like people there and they're like, oh, hey, dude, you know, and you're like, that makes me very anxious. Like, you don't know where to put your stuff. You
don't know where to put your stuff. You got to say hi to everyone, but you got to say hi to everyone at once. So there's no real genuineness. Like whenever one person shows up at a time, you can give them some of your time, right?
Yeah, you're right. Plus, you've already got your seat. You know, like you can. You know, they're like, because
big gulps, huh? Well, see you later.
Yeah, see you later. So
back
true.
to the bunk.
So true. Craig Mabbitt, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. Let everybody know where they can find you and what anything else you want to plug.
So escapethefate.com. You can find all the links to everything you need to find a link to, all the tour dates, things of that nature. New single Low coming out tomorrow. And you can find me on twitch.tv/Craig Mabbitt, Mabbitt. I know it sounds like rabbit, but there's 2 T's at the end of my last name.
I did notice, by the way.
I'm usually live every day, except for the weekends. So
awesome.
I did see that you embraced that you embraced the rabbit tie-in, and you have a side project called The Dead Rabbits.
Yeah, I did. And then I spell rabbit wrong for the band name. Yeah. I gave rabbit 2 T's.
I know, right? And you have people trying to talk you out of that because they're like, this is going to fuck with the algorithm and people aren't going to be able to find you.
Yeah.
There's going to be some.
I mean, at the same time, management still texts me, hey, is this approved? I'm like, yeah, there's 2 T's though, man. Like it's just been it's been almost 20 years and I'm still, there's 2 T's.
Yeah, man. That's
it happens.
It happens, man. Well, dude, you're awesome. You're a rock star dad.
I'm excited to see you guys at Slam.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of months, dude. And I'll find you. I just sent you my number through Jamie. And ladies and gentlemen,
perfect. Craig
Mabbitt, you guys go and check out the new Escape the Fate music. Go watch him on Twitch. And man, I want to thank our brother podcast Dadcast, and we will see you guys later. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know, some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.